Good morning, children, and welcome to this class of English. Today, in this final video for the chapter Indigo, I'm going to discuss the detailed explanation of the chapter. Children, this extracts highlights the injustice of the landlord system in Bihar. The Champaran peasants, who were sharecroppers, were exploited by the rich and influential English landlords who insisted on cultivation of indigo on 15% of their land and made them surrender the entire indigo harvest as rent. After Germany developed synthetic dye or indigo, they obtained agreements from the sharecroppers to pay them compensation for being raised from the 15% arrangement. Gandhi took up the cause of the poor peasants and he secured justice for them through convincing arguments and negotiations. So, children, let's begin this chapter. Notice these expressions. Urge the departure means request to leave from the place. Conflict of duties means when you are not able to decide, you are indecisive because you're not sure which one to opt, either this duty or that duty. Harbor a man like me means welcoming a strange, anonymous person. Seek a prop. Prop means any object which helps in your work. So, take help of something. When I first visited Kadi in 1942 as an ashram in Sivakram in central India, he said, I'll tell you how it happened that I decided to urge the departure of the British. It was in 1917. He had gone to the December 1916 annual convention of the Indian National Congress Party in Lucknow. There were 2,301 delegates and many visitors. During the proceedings, Gandhi recounted a peasant came up to me, looking like any other peasant in India, poor and emaciated, and said, I am Rajkumar Sukla. Emaciated means children, very thin. I am from Champaran. I want to know about my district and I want you to come to my district. Gandhi had never heard of the place. Actually, it was in the foothills of the towering Himalayas near the kingdom of Nepal. Under an ancient arrangement, the Champaran peasants were sharecroppers. Rajkumar Sukla was one of them. He was illiterate but resolute. He had come to the Congress session to complain about the injustice of the landlord system in Bihar, and somebody had probably said, Speak to Gandhi. So, children, in December 1916, Gandhi was in Lucknow to attend the annual convention of Indian National Congress. Convention means session. At the time, annual sessions used to be organized of Indian National Congress. It was a party which used to fight for the independence of India. So in that session, around 2,301 delegates were there and many visitors were there. So there in the meeting, a peasant from Champaran named Rajkumar Sukla arrived and he asked Gandhi to visit his district. Shukla followed Gandhi wherever he went. In 1917, earlier Gandhi did not pay heed to his request, but in 1970, Gandhi and Shukla boarded a train for Patna. Means Gandhi agreed to accompany Shukla. Shukla led Gandhi to the house of a lawyer named Rajendra Prasad. Now, Rajkumar Shukla was, you know, incited by someone that he should speak to Gandhi about the woes of the peasants of Champaran. So Gandhi told Shukla that he had an appointment in Kanpur and was also committed to go to other parts of India. So Shukla accompanied him everywhere, wherever there was Gandhi. So Gandhi was impressed by the sharecroppers' tenacity. Tenacity means, children, you know, the firm determination. Months passed, and Shukla was sitting on his haunches at the appointed spot in Calcutta when Gandhi arrived. He waited till Gandhi was free. Then the two of them boarded a train for the city of Patna in Bihar. And there the Shukla led him to the house of a lawyer named Rajendra Prasad, who later became the president of the Congress party in India. So earlier Gandhi was not at all, you know, had a feeling or had any information about the feeling of the peasants of Champaran. But later on, due to the immense struggle of Rajkumar Shukla, Gandhi got, you know, moved, and he gave his consent. And then a day came when Shukla and Gandhi boarded a train to Bihar, and there Shukla was uh, there, who led him to the house of a lawyer named Rajendra Prasad, the first president of India. And he was president of the Congress party also. Rajendra Prasad was out of the town, but the servants knew Shukla as a poor yeoman who pestered their master to help the Indigo sharecroppers. Yeoman, children, means a freeholder. So they let him stay on the grounds with his companion, Gandhi, whom they took to be another peasant. But Gandhi was not permitted to draw water from the well, lest some drops from his bucket pollute the entire source. How did they know that he was not an untouchable? So, children, when Gandhi reached there, you know, he was led to the house of Rajendra Prasad. As Rajendra Prasad was not at home, so the servants did not recognize him, seemingly like Rajkumar Shukla. They considered him a peasant, and they did not allow him to take water from the well. And because, you know, children, untouchability was very popular at the time. The lower caste people were not allowed to be at the place where higher caste people used to live. They were not allowed to eat with them, sit with them, have water from their wells. You know, they were totally alienated people. Gandhiji decided to go first to Muzaffarpur, which was en route to Champaran, and to obtain more complete information about conditions than Shukla was capable of imparting. He accordingly sent a telegram to Professor J.B. Kriplani and of the Arts College in Muzaffarpur, whom he had seen at a Tagore Santiniketan school. The train arrived at midnight, 15 April 1917. Kriplani was waiting at the station with a large body of students. Gandhi stayed there for 2 days in this home of Professor Milkani, a teacher in government school. It was an extraordinary things in those days. Gandhi commented, for a government professor to harbor a man like me in small localities. The Indians were afraid to show sympathy for advocates of home rule. Now, children, Gandhi decided to go first to Muzaffarpur to obtain complete information about the condition of Champaran. He reached Muzaffarpur by train at midnight on 15th of April 1917. Professor J.B. Kriplani received him at the station. Gandhi stayed there for 2 days. All right, and there he stayed in the house of a government professor Milkhani, and he was surprised because it was totally against the law made with the Britishers to harbor a man like Gandhi. Means those who was a advocate of home rule means giving shelter to revolutionaries was a crime, children, at that time. The news of Gandhi's advent and of the nature of the mission spread quickly through Muzaffarpur and to Champaran. Sharecroppers from Champaran began arriving on foot and by conveyance to see their champion. Muzaffarpur lawyers called Gandhi to brief him. They frequently represented peasants group in court. They told him about their cases and reported the size of their fee. Gandhi cheated the lawyers for collecting big fee from the sharecroppers. He said, I have come to the conclusion that we should stop going to law courts. Taking such cases to the courts does little good. Where the peasants are so crushed and fear stricken, law courts are useless. The real relief for them is to be free from fear. So the news of Gandhi's arrival spread like jungle fire, and the nature of his mission spread quickly through Muzaffarpur and Champaran. So sharecroppers from Champaran began arriving there. So Muzaffarpur lawyers they briefed Gandhi about the court cases of the peasants. Gandhi shielded the lawyers. Gandhi, shielded here means, children, as I have already explained to you, scolded, rebuked. So Gandhiji scolded the lawyers that why do you take a handsome amount of money from the peasants to fight their cases? He thought the law courts were useless for the crushed and fear stricken peasants. The real relief for them was to be free from fear. They must be free from fear. Just fighting and winning a case would not do. Most of the arable land in the Champaran district was divided into large estates owned by Englishmen and worked by Indian tenants. The chief commercial crop was indigo. The landlords compelled all tenants to plant 3/20 or 15% of their holdings with indigo and surrender the entire indigo harvest as rent. This was done by long term contract. Presently, the landlords learned that Germany had developed synthetic indigo. They thereupon obtained agreements from the sharecroppers to pay them compensation for being released from the 15% arrangement. Children, let me explain you what actually was going on technically. As I have already told you in the previous videos, that the peasants of Champaran were forced to grow indigo plant, which was a kind of the part of the plant served as a kind of a dye. So the peasants were forced to grow indigo on 15% of their land holdings. And suddenly, when this news came that Germany had invented synthetic indigo means he had invented chemical. So the Britishers asked sharecroppers that if you want to be free from that agreement that you have to grow 15% land with indigo, so you have to give the compensation. The sharecropping arrangement was irksome to the peasants and many signed willingly. Those who resisted engaged lawyers and the landlords hired thugs. Meanwhile, the information about synthetic indigo reached the illiterate peasants who had signed and they wanted their money back. Irksome children here means troublesome. So the Britishers did not reveal this information that Germany had invented synthetic dye. So willingly, the farmers signed that agreement that okay, we will give you compensation because you are relieving us from the previous agreement. But you know, Britishers were cheaters. They were cheating. First, they utilized the land of the peasant for doing their work, and then later on, they, you know, wanted to get compensation also for relieving them. So some peasants signed willingly, some engaged lawyers to fight the cases, and those who were the landlords, means big peasants, they hired thugs. Thugs means local gundas. At this point, Gandhi arrived in Champaran. He began by trying to get the facts. First, he visited the secretary of the British Landlord Association. The secretary told him that they could give no information to an outsider. Gandhi answered that he was no outsider. Next, Gandhi called on the British official commissioner of the Tirhut division, in which the Champaran district law. The commissioner, Gandhi reports, proceeded to bully me and advised me to forthwith to leave Tirhut. Gandhi did not leave. Instead, he proceeded to Motihari, the capital of Champaran. Several lawyers accompanied him. At the railway station, a vast multitude greeted Gandhi. He went to a house and, using it as a headquarters, continued his investigations. A report came in that a peasant had been maltreated in a nearby village. Gandhi decided to go and see. The next morning, he started out on the back of an elephant. He had not proceeded far when the police superintendent's messenger overtook him and ordered him to return to town. Now, children, it so happened that Gandhi arrived in Champaran and he began by trying to get facts from the secretary of the British Landlords Association. But he refused to give information to an outsider. Gandhi said that he was not an outsider. Then Gandhi called on the British official commissioner of the Tirhut division. The commissioner started bullying Gandhi and advised him to leave. Instead of leaving him, a large crowd of people greeted Gandhi at the railway station. It, it was the beginning of their liberation from the fear of British. Now, Gandhi decided to go and see the next morning that he started out on the back of an elephant. He had not proceeded far when the police superintendent's messenger overtook him and ordered him to return to town. So, on the back of the elephant, Gandhi decided to go out in the town and see the condition of the peasants. But the police superintendent asked him to return to town. Gandhi compiled. The messenger drove Gandhi home and he served him with an official notice to quit Champaran immediately. Gandhi signed a receipt for the notice and wrote on it that he would disobey the order. In consequence, Gandhi received a summons to appear in the court the next day. All night, Gandhi remained awake. He telegraphed Rajendra Prasad to come from Bihar with influential friends. He sent instructions to the ashram. He wired a full report to the viceroy. Morning found the town of Motihari black with peasants. They did not know Gandhi's record in South Africa. They had merely heard that a Mahatma who wanted to help them was in trouble with the authorities. Their spontaneous demonstrations in thousands around the courthouse was the beginning of their liberation from the fear of British. So the next morning, when Gandhi started out on the back of the elephant, he was stopped by the police superintendent's messenger and he was asked to return back. So Gandhi compiled. The messenger drove Gandhi home and he served an official note to Gandhi that Gandhi had to leave from there. Gandhi signed the official notice and he wrote on it that he would disobey the order and he will not leave the place. Therefore, Gandhi received a summon from the court. So at night, Gandhi telegraphed Rajendra Prasad and sent instructions to the ashram and wired a full report to the viceroy. Thousands of peasants gathered there in front of the courthouse, and the officials felt powerless. The officials felt powerless without Gandhi's cooperation. He helped them regulate the crowd. He was polite and friendly. He was giving them concrete proof that their might, hitherto dreaded and unquestioned, could be challenged by Indians. The government was baffled. The prosecutor requested the judge to postpone the trial. Apparently, the authorities wished to consult their superiors. Gandhi protested against the delay. He read a statement pleading guilty. He was involved, he told the court, in a conflict of duties on the one hand and not to set a bad example as a lawbreaker. On the other hand, to render the humanitarian and national service for which he had come. He disregarded the order to leave, not for want of respect for lawful authority, but in obedience to the higher law of our being the voice of conscience. He asked the penalty due. So when thousands of peasants gathered round the court, the officials felt powerless. The authorities wished to consult their superiors. Gandhi protested against the delay. The magistrate announced that he would pronounce sentence after 2 hours recess and asked Gandhi to furnish bail for those 120 minutes. Gandhi refused. But anyhow, just because of the power of the crowd, the judge released Gandhi without any bail. When the court reconvened, the judge said he would not deliver the judgment for several days. Meanwhile, he allowed Gandhi to remain at liberty. Liberty means freedom. So, children, it so happened that it was a small, you know, flame which got burnt in the hearts of the, you know, poor peasants. They understood what is their right and how to fight for their right. Rajendra Prasad, Brij Kishore Babu, Maulana Majharul Haq, and several other prominent lawyers had arrived from Bihar. They conferred with Gandhi. What would they do if he was sentenced to prison? Gandhi asked. Why, the senior lawyer replied. They had come to advise and help him. If he went to jail, there would be nobody to advise and they would go home. What about the injustice to the sharecroppers? Gandhi demanded. The lawyers withdrew to consult. Rajendra Prasad has recorded the upshot of their consultations. They thought among themselves that Gandhi was totally a stranger and yet he was prepared to go to prison for the sake of peasants if they, on the other hand, being not only residents of the adjoining districts but also those who claim to have served their peasants should go home. It would be shameful desertion. So, children, many other lawyers came to Gandhi, like Rajendra Prasad, Brij Kishore Babu, Maulana Majrul Haq, and many others. And Gandhi was ready to go to jail. And listening to this, the lawyers thought if he could go to jail when he is not at all related with this state, this place, then why not they? Because they belong to the adjoining districts. They accordingly went back to Gandhi and told him they were ready to follow him to jail. The Battle of Champaran is won, he exclaimed. Then he took a piece of paper and divided the group into pairs and put down the order in which pair was to court arrest. Then Gandhi decided that he made a pair of people over there, the lawyers, those who were present there. Gandhi, you know, arranged them in groups and decided that who will go to jail and turn wise. Several days later, Gandhi received a written communication from the magistrate informing him that the lieutenant governor of the province had ordered the case to be dropped. Civil disobedience had triumphed the first time in modern India. So Gandhi was ready to go to jail, but after some time, he was informed that magistrate has dropped the case. Now the case is no more, and this was the first time that the civil disobedience movement by Gandhi got victorious. Gandhi and the lawyers now proceeded to conduct a far flung inquiry about the grievances of the farmers. Depositions by about 10,000 peasants were written down and notes made on the other evidence. Documents were collected. The whole area throbbed with the activity of the investigators and the vehement protests of the landlords. In June, Gandhi was summoned to Sir Edward Gate, the lieutenant governor. Before he went, he met leading associates and again laid detailed plans for civil disobedience if he should not return. Gandhi had four protected interviews with the lieutenant governor, who, as a result, appointed an official commission of inquiry into the Indigo sharecropper situation. The commission consisted of the landlords, government officials, and Gandhi as the sole representative of the peasants. Gandhi remained in Champaran for an initial uninterrupted period of 7 months and then again for several shorter visits. The visit, undertaken casually on the entreaty of an unlettered peasant, in the expectation that it would last a few days, occupied almost a year of Gandhi's life. So Gandhi and the lawyers conducted an inquiry into the complaint of peasants. About 10,000 peasants deposed. Documents were collected from the peasants. Gandhi was summoned by Sir Edward Gate, who was the lieutenant governor at that time. He met the lieutenant governor four times, and an official commission of inquiry was appointed to look into the case of sharecroppers about the you know indigo thing. The Gandhi remained in Champaran initially for 7 months, and then he came again and again for several shorter visits. The official inquiry assembled a crushing mountain of evidence against the big planters, and when they saw this, they agreed, in principle, to make refunds to the peasants. But how much must we pay? They asked Gandhi. They thought he would demand repayment in full of the money, which they had illegally and deceitfully extorted from the sharecroppers. He asked only 50%. There he seemed adamant. Right, Sir Reverend Z.Z. Hodge, a British missionary in Champaran, who observed the entire episode at close range. Thinking probably that he would not give way, the representative of the planters offered a refund to the extent of 25%, and to his amazement, Mr. Gandhi took him at his word, thus breaking the deadlock. So now, children, it was a time for Gandhi to take back the money from the Britishers. And Gandhi demanded 50% return, but the Britishers agreed on 25%. And Gandhi agreed. Okay, and the deadlock was broken. Deadlock, or you can say dead end. The settlement was adopted unanimously by the commission. Gandhi explained that the amount of the refund was less important than the fact that the landlords had obliged to surrender part of the money and with it part of their prestige. Therefore, as far as the peasants were concerned, the planters has behaved as lords above the law. Now the peasants saw that he had rights and defenders. He learned courage. So Gandhi told the peasants that money is not supreme, but to put down the crown of the Britishers a little bit is important. By refunding 25%, little bit, we have just taken away the crown of Britishers. We have taken away their respect. Now the peasants saw that they have someone to fight for them. And the peasant got the courage that he had rights and defenders. He learned courage. Events justified Gandhi's position. Within a few years, the British planters abandoned their states. And those now went back to the peasants' indigo, you know, sharecropping disappeared. Gandhi never contented himself with large political or economic solutions. He saw the cultural and social backwardness in the Champaran villages and wanted to do something about it immediately. He appealed for teachers, Mahadev Desai and Narhari Parekh, two young men who had just joined Gandhi as a disciple, and their wives volunteered for the work. Several more came from Bombay, Pune, and other distant parts of the land. Devdas, Gandhi's youngest son, arrived from the ashram, and so did Mrs. Gandhi. Primary schools were opened in six villages. Kasturbai taught the ashram rules on personal cleanliness and community sanitation. Now, Gandhi wanted to do something to remove the cultural and social backwardness in Champaran villages. He appealed for teachers. The two young disciples of Gandhi, Mahadev Desai and Narhari Parekh, and their wives volunteered to do the work. Several more came from Bombay, Pune, and other districts part of the land. Devdas, Gandhi's youngest son, arrived from the ashram, and then primary schools were opened in six villages. And Kasturba, Gandhi, taught the ashram rules to the, you know, poor peasants. And he also taught personal cleanliness and community sanitation. Health conditions were miserable. Gandhi asked a doctor to volunteer his service for 6 months. Three medicines were available: castor oil, quinine, and sulfur ointment. Anybody who showed a coated tongue was given a dose of castor oil. Anybody with malaria fever received quinine plus castor oil. Anybody with skin eruptions received ointment plus castor oil. Gandhi noticed the filthy state of women's clothes. He asked Kasturabai to talk to them about it. One woman took Kasturbai into her hut and said, "Look, there is no box or cupboard here for clothes. The sari I am wearing is the only one I have." Children, imagine the state of poverty in the pre independent India. The lady is having only one sari to wear. And look about the health conditions of the peasants. Three medicines were there, which were served with Gandhiji: castor oil, quinine, and sulfur. Gandhi noticed this thing during his long stay in Champaran. Gandhi kept a long distance watch on the ashram. He sent regular instructions by mail and asked for financial accounts. Once he wrote to the resident that it was time to fill in the old latrine trenches and dig new ones. Otherwise, the old ones would begin to smell bad. Children, latrine is a is an old word for washrooms. Today we have Western toilets, but at that time, you know, they were not like today. You might have heard these words, children. Mela dhone ki pratha. You would be surprised, children, that the you know what to say. The people who are engaged in cleaning, like jamadars, you know what was their condition at the time? It was totally wretched, and you would be surprised to know that they had to carry human dung on a bamboo basket on their heads. Children, don't get awkward. This actually is the reality which were, was faced by the poor people. And you would be surprised to know about one part of the personality of Gandhi. Children, he used to clean not only his own toilet, but the entire toilets of his ashram. The Champaran episode was a turning point in the Gandhi's life. What I did, he explained, was a very ordinary thing. I declared that the British could not order me more, but in my own country. But Champaran did not begin as an act of defiance. It grew out of an attempt to alleviate the distress of large number of poor peasants. This was a typical Gandhi pattern. His politics were intertwined with the practical day-to-day problems of the millions. His was not loyalty to abstractions, it was a loyalty to living human beings. In everything Gandhi did, moreover, he tried to mold a new free Indian who could stand on his own feet and thus make India free. So, children, the Champaran episode actually was a turning point in Gandhi's life. It did not begin as an act of defiance. Defiance means disobey. It grew out of an attempt to lessen the sufferings of poor peasants. Gandhi's politics was closely connected with the practical day to day problems of the millions. He tried to mold a new free Indian who could stand on his own feet and thus make India free. Early in the Champaran action, Charles Frere Andrews, the English pacifist who had become a devoted follower of the Mahatma, came to bid Gandhi farewell before going on a tour of duty to the Fiji Islands. Gandhi's loyal friends thought it would be a good idea for Andrews to stay in Champaran and help them. Andrews was willing if Gandhi agreed, but Gandhi was vehemently opposed. He said, "You think that in this unequal fight, it would be helpful if we have an Englishman on our side? This shows the weakness of your heart. The cause is just, and you must rely upon yourself to win the battle. You should not seek a prop in Mr. Andrews because he happens to be an Englishman." He had read our minds correctly. Rajendra Prasad comments, and we had no reply. Gandhi, in this way, taught us a lesson in self reliance. Self reliance, Indian independence, and help to sharecroppers were all bound together. Children, you might have heard about the 5 year plans started just after the freedom of India. So, first 5 year plan had the motto of development of agriculture. Second 5 year plan had the motto of development of industries. And third 5 year plan had the motto for the development of self reliance. Self reliance means not dependent on anyone. So, children, this idea was taken from the Gandhi's philosophy. Gandhi also taught his followers a lesson in self reliance. Gandhi's lawyers' friends thought that it would be a good idea for Charles Fred and Roos, the English pacifist, to stay in Champaran and help them, as Enruse was an Englishman. And Gandhi's friend thought that if Enruse would stay on their side, it would be a help. Gandhi said to them forcefully, why you don't have courage on your philosophy? If you are right, why are you taking Mr. Andrew as a prop? Prop, I explained you. Help. He said, be self reliant. Rely upon yourself to win the battle. Thus, self reliance, Indian independence, and helps to sharecroppers were all bound together. So, children, I think you have understood this chapter. That's all from my side in this video. For any queries, kindly contact me. So, for the day, I just want to say goodbye and thank you.